Hey folks, it's Golden88 once again here for a week of preseason 2 picks. Now, throughout the preseason, I'm not going to disclose my record. I'll just let you all take a look at my picks and see which ones were good ones, or see which ones were not so good. So, for this... Dang on, Shockwave again. Oh boy. For this week P2. Alright, first game is an NFL on Fox game. This game features the Cincinnati Bengals at the Atlanta Falcons. You know what? The Falcons put on a pretty good showing in the first half, but they beat themselves in the second half. They couldn't stand up to Baltimore. And Cincinnati's a whole lot better than what the Falcons second and third strings have to offer. So I'm going with Cincinnati in this one. Next game, the Cleveland Browns at the Green Bay Packers. Look, alright, we all know that Cleveland was the only team from the AFC North not to make the playoffs last year. Of course, how can they? Because the setup is that a maximum of 3 teams from one division can make the playoffs. So Cleveland didn't go. That's not because they can't. It's not because that everyone's not online with them. Because that they suck, and let's just face it, the Green Bay second stringers are better than Cleveland starters. So Packers easy. Which leads me to Friday the 17th, which is the day of my grandfather's birthday. First game up is Tennessee at Tampa Bay. I like the moves the Buccaneers made in the offseason. I like the quarterback decision at Tennessee. Jake Locker's going to start it. I think he does well. How well? I don't think that they win the game, though. I'm picking Tampa Bay. Which brings me to the second NFL on Fox game for Week P2. And the game that I'm going to. Don't worry, I'll be sure to post plenty of pictures on my Facebook page, in which I'll put it down at the bottom of the screen in a clickable link, so that way you all can subscribe or friend request me or whatever. But this one's the Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Lions made the playoffs also last year. They're still pretty doggone good. Both teams are going to be good. This is going to be a very close game. But I think the Lions will take it. Next game is Miami Dolphins at the Carolina Panthers. Now, the word mark on the Panthers is no longer correct because they changed it, and Cam Newton's going to run wild all over Miami. So yeah, Panthers win this one. Next one, Buffalo at Minnesota. You know what? Both teams did okay last year. I don't think either one of them is going to make the playoffs, so I don't see this one to be a huge game changer. But you know what? Let's give Minnesota the victory, just because they're indoors. Next game is Jacksonville at New Orleans. You know what? During the Hall of Fame game, the Super Bowl hosts, they surprised me. Let's give it to New Orleans, just because they're home. But hey, history's gonna continue, and I'll explain more of that when I make my seasonal picks after week P3. The last game on the 17th is Oakland and Arizona. Oakland was involved in Monday night's game, and they held their own. I will say that they held their own. Arizona, on the other hand, look, you just can't have it your way all the time. Oakland wins it. Now, for Saturday, we're going to start out with the battle of the New York teams. That's right, Giants and Jets. And the way they do it in the new MetLife Stadium, which is host to next year's Super Bowl, is that they'll put both teams' word marks. You see the Giants' word mark here, the Jets' word mark right along the bottom of the pennant. They'll put both of the end zones in. You only do that for the preseason games. Why they don't do it for regular season games, I don't know. Well, once every 4 years, of course, but still. I think Tebow time's going to clamp down on the defending champs. They fall 0-2 in the preseason. Jets win. Next game. The Washington Redskins at the Chicago Bears. Now, do we really need to go through this? Chicago. San Francisco and Houston, both teams surprisingly made the playoffs last year. And both teams had a pretty good showing. Of course, I still think the 49ers were robbed, but that's up for question. Anyway, both teams are good. The thing that's really going to decide it is how much crowd noise can the Texans generate, and they're my pick. Kansas City and St. Louis. Rams looked halfway decent, if you ask me, but I still don't. But they're still in a rebuilding phase. I don't think they're gonna go very far, but then again, you saw what happened with Houston and Cincinnati. Kansas City wins that one. Seattle at Denver. You know, I had a buddy that was on the field at Quest Field during their first preseason game because he was presenting the colors. I actually saw him on Root Sports Northwest feed when I was watching the game on the NFL Network. So, Sergeant Bo Maine, pretty good. You represented your country well. Still, I like Denver in this one. Dallas at San Diego. Now, you're bound to get your rear ends crushed if you can only beat a weak team like Oakland by a score of 3-0. San Diego takes this one hands down. I hope you all have had a nice Olympic break. Because now these guys are going to Rio in those 4 years. It's time for the debut of Sunday Night Football. And what better way to kick off the 2012 SNF season than with a rematch of the 95 AFC Championship game. Yep, you guessed it, it's the Colts and the Steelers. Steelers lost a heartbreaker last week against Philadelphia. And the Colts, well, we know what happened. Andrew Luck made a great first impression. I think he's going to get the starting job. Now the question is, can he hang tough against the Steelers? This one's going to be a test for him. If he comes out firing, then he's going to make it. If not, oh well. I still think the Steelers are going to are going to defeat them, though, but it's a close one. And for ESPN's Monday Night Football, I have the Eagles and the Patriots. This one I'm going to go with New England on, just because they've historically always been better against Philadelphia, no matter which way you put it. Alright, so that's my Week 2 picks. I'll see you all next week for Week 3. This is P Golden 88, and I'll see you later. Good night.